Parents on Reddit. Why did your child pretend to be angry, but secretly impress you or amuse you? My daughter had trouble in kindergarten because she was selling pencils to other children. She charged the kids a quarter, and the school charged 50 cents. I was very impressed. My 3-year-old dragged a chair from the living room to the kitchen and climbed in to get ice cream from the freezer. I caught her at the scene of the crime and got angry before I got ready, but then I realized that she had taken out 2 ice creams for her brother and sister, unwrapped them and sent them to the balcony so that they would not spoil. I decided she deserved ice cream. I blocked YouTube on the iPad. I was a little worried that my child might see something on YouTube that is not intended for children 5 years old. My 5-year-old son found a workaround by launching Angry Birds, clicking on the Angry Birds cartoon and viewing his favorite YouTuber using the voice search function. I must say it's brighter than most of the adults I've seen. It bypassed password protection and fixed the problem of not being able to record using the voice function. It's amazing. My 9-year-old son called me to his room because he had a monster in his closet. I tell him that he is too old for such things and should go to bed. He begs me to check it out. I open the door, turn on the light, and something sloppy with angry eyes looks at me, and I scream. It was a mirror. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to have a heart attack, and he's laughing at his troll ass. I'm proud of his intelligence, but I wondered if he was old enough to leave it in front of someone. Okay, it's not my baby, but my cute little brother. When she was very young, the family went out to dinner, and she accidentally dropped her fork on the floor. She definitely picked it up from my mom and screamed "damn." Obviously, the whole restaurant heard her voice. My mother was humiliated and immediately tried to fix the situation. No, we don't have children, we don't say that. What can we say? She replied, I think I want to say oh, or maybe sorry. But it took my sister a little while to think about it. She delved even deeper into the memories of what her mother would say in such a situation, and replied with a clear, sonorous damn. My brother-in-law was scolding his daughter for something and burst into a furious tirade. She asked him in his cry, Daddy, can you lift the bear? And he replied, no. The situation is spreading rapidly. She's a genius. One evening, my wife and I were discussing homework, education, and the importance of her future with our 10-year-old daughter. This topic came up because she was arrested for lying about her grades. I asked, "You don't want to grow up like me and succeed?" She replied, "Mom doesn't do anything, and she's doing it pretty well." My daughter accidentally said a shit. The only thing we came up with to create this expletive is a combination of 2 words. I told her it was okay, I was there and I knew the context. She was so angry with herself that she punished herself by sending her to bed. None of my assurances made her accept what she had done. When I was a kid, I liked to rhyme words, so I decided to say "ye mac lack buck break." As soon as I said that, obviously, I put my hand to my mouth and launched the ball. The middle child, 8 years old, the youngest tipped his water to my lunch. The youngest, 5 years old, it was an accident. The middle child was not the youngest. It was because it was an accident. The eldest son, 10 years old, who is not going to do this, is getting vaccinated for the first time. How could this be an accident? You tip a drink over her lunch and say, "I'm officially declaring this sandwich raw right now." It's so hard to yell at him without laughing. I had to give up and let my wife do it. When my daughter was learning cursive in the 2nd grade, she forged my name in a test paper. I asked her to write an apology to the teacher. The most interesting thing is that she scored 100 points on the test. I laughed heartily. One day my brother said click, and my mom gave him a speech about how we shouldn't use these words because they hurt some people, and made a parental joke about having to wash their mouths with soap. Fast forward 15 minutes, and my mom found him in the bathroom, sobbing softly as he took some soap in his mouth and brushed it with a toothbrush. My mom had never been so scared, and she couldn't stand it and burst into tears because my brother took her words so seriously. On the other hand, my brother never swore again. My son beat up a bully who bullied him. No, I don't tolerate physical contact, but the bully flinched first, and the little son whipped his ass. I went to Walmart with the boys, and there was a guy who almost supported us in the parking lot. It was bad. My son-in-law was looking for something else, and my hands were full of children, so I, in fact, smashed his chest with a package of gift so that he would not move on. When he regains his balance and realizes what happened, the man just walks into the plant. We appear out of nowhere, throw him a double bird, completely calmly, confidently, with full eye contact, and he holds it there for a good 3 seconds. Children are usually shy of adults. It was like catching a glimpse of the person he was going to become. I have twins. The boy is a completely ordinary child. The girl has a developmental delay due to autism. She really doesn't know how to communicate. For example, when he wakes up for the first time, he shouts at us to get him out of their room. When she wakes up for the first time, she sits quietly until someone comes. So, on their 3rd birthday, they got a lot of sweet toys. The toy was in the living room, so it did not distract before going to bed. The next morning she woke up and wanted to play with her new doll, but she didn't know how to get our attention so that we would open the door. But she knows her brother can open the door, so she grabs the hammer knife from the Avengers. Then she just starts banging her brother on the head with it until his scream makes me run into the room. As soon as I open the door, she drops the hammer and walks past me, laughing at her new toy. It may be sociopathic, but it's smart. Keep an eye on her. So far she's pretty smart at solving problems. What my brother did in the 6th grade, not me. My parents found out that he was selling nicotine-free vape pens at his school. In fact, it's just something with taste. To do this, he bought a prepaid credit card at a local Walmart store, bought it online under an assumed name and used his money to deliver it to our house, where everyone picked it up before seeing it. I think he made about $200 out of it. My parents combined anger and emotion. Future drug dealers. A super successful drug dealer. Or the stock market. I'm still a kid, so let's stop with the promotions. This man has achieved success. My son was 2 years old when he first put on glasses. At first, he resisted wearing them until he realized that for the first time in his life he could look normal. And a few days later, putting glasses on him, I brought home 5 individually wrapped packages of chocolate, which I planned to take to the office in a few days. He went upstairs to his room with toys and stayed quiet for too long. I went there, and he was lying in a wrapper, covered in chocolate. Half of the package was missing, and he was so proud of himself. Mom, I don't need help to open them, so I didn't have to ask. It was the first time he was able to figure out where to click to reveal the wrapper. I was so happy that he finally realized that I couldn't be angry. I had to tell him that even if he no longer needed help to open the box, he still needed to ask permission to take the candy. Children are not prone to intolerance. Knowing about the miracle of getting points for the first time, it becomes delightfully funny. I can well imagine how proud he is of me. In 6th grade, my daughter was friends with a boy who had a lot of feminine traits. My daughter met him first, because according to the rules of their school, they had to sit at the table on the first day, and this boy had no friends, and he sat at the end of their table. Gradually, the girls got to know him, and he was accepted into their group. Many accepted him in pink clothes and with a manicure, but some did not. One day, the school's disciplinary inspector called me. He said, "Ja Mrs. Potato Toy with fruit." I want to preface what I'm trying to say by saying that I have a duty to report situations involving physical violence. My heart sank, but I never called on you to punish your daughter. He went on to tell me that one of the boys, known for bullying this young man, pushed him down the school stairs. My daughter was so angry that she ran up to the bully and kicked him with her shin with all her might. She had to apologize to the boy who kicked her. We talked about never using physical force, no matter how angry we were. But I was so proud that she was protecting her friends. She had to apologize to the boy who kicked her. Well, today we're going to talk about apologies that don't require apologies. Damn, I remembered the worst. My daughter likes to compliment people. About a month ago, we were at the mall with my other children. I was collecting food for everyone when my daughter ran up to me and screamed. It was both terrible and fun. I was surprised, but I wasn't arrested. Hugging her 3-year-old daughter at the grocery store checkout, she poked her fingers into her chest and cheerfully said, "You have great breasts, Mom." Thank you, baby. My 2.5-year-old son climbed over a chain-link fence to go to the neighbor's yard to get a ball. I once played wrestling with my nephew, and after I cured the 3-year-old, it became a familiar nickname. Such a stupid face and a stupid head. Then my sister rang the bell and said, "You don't call me by my name." Then this boy looked at me and said, "Janame." Literally, he just called me by my first name. Punk. My brother liked to call names, so he was not allowed to use insults, including in the face and on the head. Then he started calling people bosses with faces. After I bought an Xbox One over the weekend and finally set it up, I sat down to play, and my 1-year-old got up and immediately turned it off, and then came and received the message, "The book is fine. We're going to read a book." My 15-year-old daughter had just taken up boxing, real boxing, not boxing for fun, on Sunday when we were sparring in the backyard, and she caught me with a right hook that was strong enough for me to see the stars for a few minutes. I'm a 110 kilograms guy, a former heavyweight. I was very impressed and full of love. I didn't keep my word. I think my silence was interpreted as anger, because she apologized a lot. Besides, she has such spectacular makeup that people start to feel uncomfortable. My daughter is just amazing. My 5-year-old roommate shouted at his mother, "Yeah, I'm so angry that I'm going to shit in your pants." Yeah, I'm not a parent, but that's 100% the answer to the question. When my husband was in the 2nd grade, he wrote poetry. The teacher found it, confiscated it, and sent it home. His parents had to sit with him and tell him that this language was unacceptable for school. When they talk about it now, they say it's the hardest thing to keep a straight face. They still keep poetry. When I was young, I didn't have any common sense. I ran into a wizard using an electric fence. It hurt so much. He pierced my testicle. I got my overalls dirty. My 8-year-old girl was bullied by 2 boys at school, so she grabbed both of them and easily strangled one, and the other ran away. Surprise B. She has been practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since she was 5 years old. Anyway, she came home and told me that she had invited both boys on a date. When I looked at her in surprise, she said, "You don't worry, I did it on the grass, not on concrete." I was amused, but Hera was impressed. A year later, she became the best friend of one of the boys. He has a new fetish. Not my child, but myself in my youth. When I was little, my family and I watched the Scottish sketch show Che in Fat E. It was when I was about 3 or 4 years old, and the day after the new episode was released, I couldn't wait to use one of my favorite lines in the series that I had heard the night before. Didn't have it, but I didn't have it. Well, bedtime was approaching, and the kindergarten teacher told everyone to clean up and put away their toys. I didn't want to clean up. But the teachers didn't like it, and if I don't help, please take my favorite toy, the transforming Greyman, away from me for the day, when I faced such a cruel and unrelenting threat and saw an opportunity to use my favorite line. The parents were called. My mother was unhappy. But my father couldn't help laughing, and he had to leave the room when she told him about it. He bought me a toy Metal G Ruman car. Reading it with a Scottish accent only made it better. Oh my God, I could have told a story about my niece when she was 3 or 4 years old. She was staying with my parents, and Dad took her for a ride. Some jerk blocked his way in traffic, so he shouted cocker. Outside the window. About a block ahead, still behind the man, he is almost passing the intersection when, a few seconds later, he hears the rear window open and my niece sticks her fist out of the window, starts shaking it along with the car in front and shouts coxy Carell as loudly as she can. Elegant. Dad, I had a parent-teacher meeting in kindergarten because a girl taught me French kissing in a treehouse, and we got caught. I think my father was very proud. They're still surprised that you're allowed to teach. Honestly, scolding kids is fun. Obviously, you can't laugh, otherwise they will never stop. To be honest, they want to do it too, so you can't really get mad either. When he dropped something, my 3-year-old son, exclaiming "Oh shit," he almost drove me to my grave. Dan, it was almost impossible to ignore. When I was little, I couldn't pronounce EKKE, I got a lot of EG sounds. One day I was with my father and shouted from the back seat, get off, puffer." My dad was laughing too hard, so I had to stop him. Collect 3 Lego cubes with his buttocks. But they show the buttocks of the United States. Mom, I'm a bargain. This is a legend. When my daughter was 6 years old, she was bullied by a schoolboy. One day he came face to face with her in front of his comrades and said, "I'd bet you don't have the guts to kick me in the balls." She did just that. My ex-boyfriend called me from school, and I had to hold back my laughter while I explained myself to the principal. When I went outside, it exploded. Then we had to wash it off if we were dating our daughter. He bullied her, and then the child left her alone. My son grimaced at me instead of doing what I told him to do. He thinks it's a scary face. It's more of an annoying grimace, but it's charming. But he shouldn't know about it. Make a hole in the wall of my room. I fixed it by coloring the back of the photo paper and gluing it to the wall. My father was very upset when he discovered this about 2 years later, but later admitted that my MC Jiva repair work was impressive. When I was 4 or 5, my parents bought better fish. I named her Shimmer. She died about a year later, and we bought another one. I also wanted to name him Shimmer, but my parents told me that it was wrong because you can't name him after the deceased. I informed them that they named me after my late great-grandmother. They made me name the fish Glitter. I was playing video games, and my 3-year-old son got behind the couch and farted in my ear. My baby does this all the time. I'll throw things on the floor or scold him for not eating his dinner, or something like that, then he'll start smiling, strutting around and acting very cute, trying to charm me by not letting me eat his dinner. I have a serious face, and as soon as he turns his back on me, I giggle into my palm. It happens to everyone. So I'm not going to kill you. My parents told me one of them when I was 2 years old. When I ran outside with the front door open, my father set up a hook about 6 feet high. The first time I tried to open the door, the hook stopped me. I stood and looked at it for a few minutes. Then I quietly went into the kitchen, grabbed a broom and immediately stuck it into the hook and bolted it. Both my parents were watching what was happening and were still laughing about it. The kindergarten teacher wanted to talk to us because our son called the wasp a "you dirty sucker." It turned out that she wasn't as impressed with the correct handling of the wasp as I was. In his defense, we can say that the wasp is a dirty sucker. Last night in a restaurant, she loudly sang a song she had composed about her vagina. I'm not sure I understood all the words, but it's something like, "Do you want to make a snowman?" A song from Frozen. Do you want to see my vagina? The genius Joe Brain visited you. That's why you always look like a half-empty glass. If you are new to this channel, you can subscribe. Before that, I post a new video every day and check the order in which the next video is shown. Anyway, have a nice day, you're wonderful people.